go to work, and that's Saturday night. So we were going to be driving all night Saturday night. Neither one of us had any sleep, and we swapping out driving, trying to keep one another awake. And we get back sometimes Sunday. We get back home, and Willie stayed at my house. We put him up for the night, and then of course Monday we got up and went to work, and then he took a room over there at the Ladin. We call it the Snake Pit, but it was it was a hotel over a tavern. And you get one room, you had a sink, and you shared a bath down the hall and everything. At one time, years ago, it probably was a hotel. It was called the Aladdin Hotel, but it was just sleeping rooms is all it was. And he took a room, and he stayed over at the Aladdin Hotel after that until he didn't stay very much long after that. He decided he was going to go back to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he did. He quit his job and he left and went back to Tennessee, and that left me living in the trailer park alone. When I say alone, I mean I didn't. Lindsay had already moved out, and then Willie moved out, and I knew other people in there, but there was nobody in there that worked for I did. So we stayed on for another year after that, I think, and we bought a bigger trailer, as a matter of fact. And we lived in that until my sister, Patricia, she decided that she had a baby, probably under 2 years old, Kimmy, and she wanted to go to Chicago. So we went down to Alabama, and we got her and brought her in, and we knew that to start with, there's not a house big enough for two families. It's just not big enough. And a trailer is definitely not big enough for two families, especially when we had 2 kids and she had a child. So I sold that trailer, and we moved into a house over on Garden Lane in Bridgeview. It was a brick house and had upstairs. And we had plenty of room there, and she stayed with us for about a year, I think. And we lived in that house for about a year. And it was actually closer to work. And the guy that owned that house worked at the plant where I worked. It was his mother's house. And she had died, and he still owned the house, and we rented it from him. And after a year, my wife was pregnant with Karen. And I knew that I wanted to buy a house because, I didn't want to be paying rent. And so while she was pregnant, I had shopped around and found a place in Lockport. And she had the baby while we still lived on Garden Lane. And then shortly after that, we finally closed the deal on that house. And then we moved to Lockport. And then that's where our kids went to school, and we lived in that house in Lockport more than 20 years. And we enjoyed that. We actually added on to that house. We added a bathroom and a couple other rooms to that house to make it bigger. But it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house when we bought it. And then we added a bathroom and a couple of bedrooms to it as our family got bigger. And when the girls all started to school, and then there's fighting over the bathroom every day. Out of necessity, we had to add another bathroom because I couldn't stand that fighting. 3 girls fighting over the bathroom. It just wore me out. So we built another bathroom, and then we added on. J.L. Richardson, he worked at the plant, and J.L., he did a lot of carpenter work, and he and I decided we could add on to that house. And he came over, and we started working on it. And he always said my wife was a better worker than I was because when we were putting rafters up and stuff like that, he said, Bill, and he would laugh at me. He said, you can't get up there and walk on them rafters. You have to hold on with both hands. And your wife just gets up there and walks on them like, like she knows what she's doing. Said, you can't do that. And, of course, I didn't have the balance that she did. I think, of course, she was part Indian, and I think that kind of helped her. But my wife would do about anything. Of course, we added on to that house. And when we were getting ready, of course, that was in the city. It was in a subdivision.
But it wasn't in the city.
Well, but you had to have permits and stuff. And we didn't have a contractor. I mean, he worked at the plant like I did, and I wasn't. So I went over to get permits. And so I went in the office to get the permits. They said, well, where's your drawings? I said, what are you talking about? She said, we ain't going to give you any permits till you give us a drawing of what you're going to be doing, what it's going to look like. And then after we inspect it, there's got to be an electrical inspector come and do the same thing. All that has to be inspected. You just can't start building on something. That just don't work that way. So anyhow, I had to go back and get my pencil, ruler and everything, and I had to lay it all out, in detail, where the studs were, where the electrical was going to be and all that, and draw it all out on just a piece of paper, on a lined regular paper. And I took it over there, and the people over there didn't want to accept that, but I guess they figured that I was dumb enough to start building something by myself. They approved the starting of it. They said, now when you get it, framed out, we have to inspect it before you can seal it up, because the electrical's got to be inspected and all that. So and they told us it's got to be 42 inches deep. The pilings has to be 42 inches deep, and they gave us it, and I put that in my drawings. So I come back and I told JL, and he said, yeah, he went and rented a backhoe, and he dug it out all the way around, to put the.
I remember you had a compact loader too out there.
Put that. He dug it out, and then we would have to pour the form, because the backhoe, the dipper on that backhoe was pretty wide, and he made that all the way around, 45 inches deep, and then we formed it up. And then we had to get we had to get them to come on a Saturday, because we worked, and we had to pour the cement on Saturday. And I remember the guy came, and we had it all formed up, and we thought everything was hunky dory, till he put the cement in there too fast, and the weight of the cement broke down on one side.
Broke the form.
Broke the form on one side, and it's all running out. And of course, it was contained inside of the ditch or trench that he had dug out. But we're losing all that cement, because that cement was expensive. And JL and I, we're humping it, man. We're trying to get those forms reinforced and everything, and we're working and working and working. And when we finally did get them secure, and of course that guy in the cement truck, the ready mix,
he didn't care.
He don't want to wait. He wants it all off his truck because he's got to go and all that. Well, anyhow, we were working as hard as we could, and my wife was out there helping us. We finally got it shored up enough. On the one side, it's pretty ugly, but it's going to be covered up with dirt anyhow. We got it shored up and got our foundation and everything laid out there. And then he left, and then JL and I both, we laid down in the yard. We just laid out there in the yard because we were so exhausted. Our arms and things are so tired, we couldn't even raise our arms, But we had worked so hard. But anyhow, we couldn't do anything else anyhow, because you had to wait till the cement set up, and then you had to take the forms off of them and all that. So that was kind of the story of putting the foundation in. We did get it in, and then after we did that, we had to get the lumber and put the flooring in, that sort of thing, and put the insulation. And we got all of that done, and we left it open, and we did the wiring ourselves, which was not up to code. We figured because it wasn't it wasn't rigid conduit. It was just we just run that BX, and we figured that the inspector is going to come and give us a hard time about that. So we made a calculated risk. We went ahead and closed it up. Before the electrical inspector came, the building inspector came and he approved the floor joist and all of that. He approved that. But the electrical inspector hadn't come, and we went ahead and closed it up. We put the walls up inside and put the covers on the electrical, all of that. And when the electrical inspector came, then he's mad as hell, He said, it's got to be inspected. And we said, well, we didn't know that. Of course I did. J.L. wasn't. He wasn't even there. I said, well, I didn't know that. And I said, you mean I'm going to have to tear them walls down so you can see it? He said, I'm going to red tag you. I said, oh, you can't do that. And finally he hawed around there, fussed. And he said, well, let me check the continuity of the plugs. Mm-hmm. And he went around and he stuck his thing in there, and every one of them checked. Mm-hmm. Every one of the plugs, the continuity on the plugs checked and everything. And finally he said, you guys you ain't nothing but trouble. But he did approve it. And we got the building approved, and then, of course, after it was approved, we were able to put the carbon down and put the lights in and all of that stuff.
He didn't try to put the arm on you or anything, did he?
No, this was in Joliet.
Okay.
He was just sympathetic.
Chicago, okay.
He was just sympathetic we were so stupid. But that was kind of the story of getting that all put together. And like I say, sometimes you can get away with stuff like that, but it wouldn't have surprised me too much if he'd have made us tear the walls down, because you know how building inspectors. If that had been in the city of Chicago, we'd have to tear the whole damn building down, because he'd have red tagged the whole thing. But that's kind of my story of getting in that house.
Well, thank you.